There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. And UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. So this story really is the combination of both of them, and we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, have you taken a good look at the banks lately? On the surface, everything seems fine. But there seems to be a whole lot more going on underneath. It's like looking under the hood of a car and finding a mess of broken wires and parts. The parts are loans for homes, cars, and those credit cards we all use. Folks, they're hitting record highs. It's kind of scary when you think about it. Why risk your money for a tiny 5% return when things are so shaky? This is where Noble Gold Investments can help. They're like that friend who knows all about keeping money safe. They suggest gold and silver, oldies but goodies in the financial world. Plus, they've got a sweet deal, a free 1/4 ounce gold standard coin this month if you qualify. Pretty good stuff, right? If you're curious, just give them a call at 877-646-5347. It's just a chat, no pressure. They'll help you figure out if gold and silver are right for you. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, the number 877-646-5347. Folks, we've invested in Noble Gold, and quite frankly, I'm glad we did. This is from Julianne. She's down under in Australia. She's appeared on Supernatural Confrontation several times, and she just emailed me a couple of days ago, and I thought I would read this post because I think it's imperative that we do so. If you have a supernatural experience, supernatural@laMarzulli.net if you want to come on Zoom. If you just want me to read it, then shoot me an email, la@lamarzulli.net. So, hey, LA and Peggy, peace from my house to yours, prayers also. Last night, 8 p.m., dark, I saw a UFO. It looked like the ship from the original series of Lost in Space, and we just pulled into the carport, and I saw it through the windscreen of the parked car. I was utterly transfixed by the appearance and had one leg out of a door, but was still seated. I couldn't move, not that I tried at all. I watched this craft suddenly appear from out of the clouds, come towards our backyard exceptionally quickly and at an odd angle. To begin with, I thought it was a plane about to crash until I realized it didn't have the correct lights flashing. It didn't have any lights flashing at all. It just emanated light. Where have we heard this before? In our film Roswell, we show a tic-tac shaped object, this is bootleg footage, in our opinion, that came out of the White Sands testing grounds. Chuck Zukowski led me on to this, as well as other UFO researchers. You see a tic-tac shaped object. I'll use my prop here. It comes down like this. It hits the ground, bounces up, and then it continues. And the next time when it hits the ground, it completely just explodes. It shatters. And this is where, just judging from that, just looking at that film, which is black and white and very old, and somehow got snuck out of the White Sands testing ground. So what we're looking at, these shards come out, it's like a bullet out of a .22, and they embed themselves into the ground. This is why in the debris field, when we're there, we found 2 pieces of wreckage. But I digress. So what else is new? When it first emerged, I saw a curved triangle of a bluish gray, very intense and oddly exquisite light. So she's getting sucked in. I mean, there's no doubt. And who wouldn't? When we see something like this, we are drawn to it. Recently, I spoke to a woman who had an encounter with some orbs, and they had the presence of mind to go back and look at their security camera, and sure enough, there were the orbs on the security camera. And I asked the woman, what, have you seen these before? And she said, no. The bottom line is, I get these all the time. Orbs flying around the room, orbs manifesting. I think they have a nefarious agenda. Let's continue. I am, as you know, not familiar with the supernatural, but this was as real as you and I. I can tell the difference between something supernatural like an angel appearing or a UFO. Look, when these things show up, I've seen 3. The Boy Scout camp, most of you have heard that. The one that hovered over Pacific Coast Highway, This is in our very first Watchers film, and Richard Shaw did a dramatic rendering of that. It created concentric rings and then disappeared. Then it appeared again, and there was a light over it that appeared. The light descended into the bigger light, and then that light disappeared into concentric rings. We saw this 3 times. We pulled over, and that's where the Lord gave me that night, because we were hypnotized by the thing, okay? Never seen anything like it. We were drawn into it, and that's the problem. That night, the Lord got me up, and he said, L.A., you blew it. And I, Lord, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you're the one that's always telling people to be careful with this stuff. You need to rebuke first and ask questions later. And this, of course, ties into a letter, a very vivid dream from Terry that I read, a day or 2 ago? Yeah, thank you, Terry. And it was a very, very vivid dream. And in that dream, she talks about rebuke first, ask questions later. It's something we need to do. Rebuke in the name of Jesus, because these things are ramping up. There's no doubt about it. So let's continue. Once it started its horizontal descent, it either dropped its cloak or morphed into the lost in space-like craft, which descended directly down into the field behind our 4 acres. As soon as it touched down, it vanished. Probably didn't vanish. It probably just became invisible. That's conjecture. Getting back to the UFO, I realized I hadn't thought about it for almost 24 hours. Brain fog? Perhaps. I will get the binoculars out tomorrow and look into the paddock to see if there's any visual grass anomalies. I can't get close to where I saw it land. Why? Because it's snake season there, and the snakes are out there. But she might be able to fly a drone, and that's what we're looking at. It wasn't that big. It was about the size of a smaller passenger plane, but it was easily 3 meters high, 10 feet high. I didn't see any portholes or windows in the craft. It was only a moment after it landed, then it poofed out. It never made any noise at all. I believe it was a credible sighting. So since this is your shtick, what do you think? And again, that's a close encounter, not only of the first kind, but of a second kind, because this is very close to you, extremely close to you. And then you experience high strangeness. The craft just disappears like that. Right in front of you, and it shouldn't do that. It's obviously coming in for a landing. It lands in your field, in your paddock, on your 4 acres, behind your house. You can't really go there because it's snake season, and you don't want to get bitten, and I don't blame you for not doing that either. But a drone would be great to see if there's any markings in the field or what have you. Before I go, I want to thank Scott Hill. It was Scott that sent me the article from the elongated skulls that were found in Aymara in Peru. And I couldn't place him, but I found the envelope, and thank you, Scott, for watching the show and then, giving us the information. I really appreciate it. So look, folks, here's the deal. UFOs are real, versioning not going away. The supernatural world is real, and it's manifesting all around us. Once again, if you've had a supernatural encounter, supernatural@marzulli.net, or if you want to come on the show, or you don't want to come on the show and just want to shoot me an email describing like what Julianne did, la@lamarzulli.net. Thanks so much for watching. I will be at the Prophecy Watchers Conference coming up at the end of the month. I'll be speaking about Roswell 1, Roswell 2, Roswell Revisited. You'll find these films on our streaming site, streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net, and you can avail yourself of what I believe is very critical information. Roswell was, and I've showed this before just a little while ago, but I'll do it again. This is the original script. There it is. RAAF captures flying saucer. That's the original story. That's what they got, and that's real, and that's reality. So, you can, they didn't get it right. Well, then if they didn't get it right, why did they do this? The very next day, July 9th, 1947, excitement not justified, right there. There it is. General Ramey empties the saucer and tells us, excitement not justified. And this began the 76-year-old cover-up, which we've talked about in our film. We actually went to the debris site. We went to Jesse Marcel's library up in Montana. We interviewed his widow, Jesse Marcel Jr.'s widow, Linda Marcel, as well as his daughter, and one of his closest friends. So, folks, this is real investigative journalism. I know I'm boasting. Please forgive me, but it is. We're out in the field. We're in the library. We do our research, but then we get out in the field. And we were in Hangar 84. We went to the debris field. We found 2 pieces of metal, and we had it analyzed. It's cutting-edge stuff. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. What are you waiting for? Streaming.lamarzulli.net. If you want the hard copies, lamarzulli.net. You can order them and we'll ship them out. We are going on vacation. We'll be gone for a little while. I'm not telling you exactly the dates we'll be gone, but soon. And we covered your prayers. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, there is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucer. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.